Propelio TV is sponsored by Noble Mortgage and Investments, Batchkip Tracing, Think Multifamily, CreativeCashflow.com, and Lifeiner.
Okay, guys, next up, we have a very dear friend of mine. Like we talked about a little bit ago, lead generation is everything in this business. The most important thing you can do in this business is follow the path that others before you have done successfully, right? It's much easier to learn from other people's mistakes than to learn from your own. You got to get up and keep running either way. But today right now we're gonna introduce our next speaker, who's gonna share with you. She has a tremendous amount of experience in generating leads for real estate investors all across the country. Please help me welcome Ms. Christina Krause.
Hello, hello. I'm gonna put my stuff down, bringing out my drink like I'm a comedian. That ain't water in there. This is pretty crazy. I really did not know what to expect. Like, I travel a lot and I speak a lot, but I didn't know what to expect, and this has been really fun. So thank you guys for making this really fun. All right, so now I need to get used to where it is that I'm standing. I legit could see myself going right over this stage. You just stay right there in case you need to catch me. So for those of you that don't know, my name is Christina Krause. I live in Delaware. Those are my two daughters who I think that might have been 2 years ago. So not even kidding. I'm literally looking up to my children now, but I could still take them out if I have to. I've been an active investor since 1999, and as a service provider in this industry, I'm really proud of the fact that I am an actual active investor to this day. The marketing strategies that we're going to discuss today, I deploy right now in my own market. And while I don't necessarily think that that's critical, I think it makes a really, really huge difference when you have service providers who are either active or who have actually been in the industry. Are any of you guys familiar with any lead gen companies or marketing companies or what have you that have absolutely zero experience in real estate? They're out there, right? And I think there's an element missing. So I'm very proud of the fact that we are still active investors. I've done anything from managing rentals. At our height, we probably had about 285 doors, and then managed another 400 doors for other people. Have been a part of well over 2,000 flips or wholesales, new construction, multifamily, notes and lendings. And at the very bottom, there is an apartment condo conversion, which is what took us out back in the day. So I've been at the height, and I've been at the very, very bottom as well. So lots of lessons to be learned. I am known mostly for Postal Impact. Most people know our company. Postal Impact is a data and analytic. Don't go to sleep when I say that, but we are a data and analytic driven lead gen company for real estate investors. And I'm gonna unload some data on you guys, so I need you guys to stay pumped up. I'm third speaker in, but I'm gonna try to make this interesting for you, because I'm going to tell you right now that I'm going to prove to you that studying your data and knowing your numbers is critical for you to ultimately be successful in this business and have any legs whatsoever in this business, and to not be completely dependent on other people's success stories and moments of success. It is absolutely critical that you know what your numbers are. Okay, I'm gonna prove that to you by the end of this presentation. We do a completely done-for-you direct mail marketing model. So not only do we generate the leads, we use data and analytics to generate the actual leads for our clients, but then we execute the actual direct mail marketing model for them. Why do you think that is? Why do you think we insist on handling the direct mail for our clients? Any guesses? If I want the data and I want the analytics and I leave it to you to methodically and consistently mail your mailers, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to screw it up. So I don't let you do it. I never wanted to be a mail company. I never got into this to be a mail company. We are not a mail company. I'm not here to mail your mailers for you. I want your data. So we're going to generate your leads. We are going to control your direct mail marketing, because we know that if we do it, then the data is good and you're good. Okay, so we also do data-driven analysis and evaluation of companies. That leads us to what we do today, and this is a sticking point, and I'll show you how we determined this in data. But we pre-screen and pre-train virtual lead managers to audit and nurture your leads through your entire sales process, either using your systems or our systems. But we essentially train these people to be masters of your CRM and run follow-up sequences for you. Stick a pin in that, because we're going to talk about that later as well when we're talking about missed marketing opportunities in your business, okay? The last thing and the most important thing is that I am also a ping pong ninja. And I'm not kidding when I say this. I am legit half Japanese. It's in my freaking blood. I'm a killer with a ping pong paddle, and here is why that is important. First of all, it is so unusual for me to speak, and I speak all the time, to look out across an audience and see all these lady bosses in the audience, and I am loving that so much. I am used to being in a very male-dominated, what has been, at least up until this point, a very male-dominated industry. And ping pong allows me to do what data allows me to do, which is to make grown men weep. And that is what I am here to do, ladies. Yes, thank you. I'm taking one for, I'm doing it for all the ladies in here. I'm telling you right now, I would make you weep with a ping pong paddle. And I also make grown men weep when we evaluate their numbers, we hand them their data, and we actually show them the truth that's in their businesses. But we don't stop there, because we tell them how to fix it, all right? So tonight, I could do one of two things. I could either teach you how to be a ping pong ninja, but I'm choosing to teach you instead about marketing, because let's face it, it doesn't matter how much I teach you, you're only ever going to beat me at ping pong if you kill me. So I'm going to teach you how to do what we do in marketing. So, given the fact that we handle the marketing campaigns of some of the biggest, we're lucky enough, I should say, to handle the marketing campaigns of some of the biggest investors in the nation, some who you know, most of the biggest people in the nation you don't know and you never will know. Because those guys, like iBuyers, are very quietly taking over the world, all right? There's a whole other side and a whole other massive piece of this, and a lot of it is rooted in data and analytics. So, number one question that I get asked when I go to speak, knowing that we represent millions and millions and millions of mail pieces, is, what are you doing that's working? What do you think the number two question is? If I had to filter all the questions down that I normally get asked, what do you think the second most common question is that I get asked? How much does it cost? Anybody else? You want to know what it is? No, I'm not kidding. What do you do to stay healthy? Because I travel a lot, right? And so people ask, what is it that you do to stay healthy? All right? There's a reason why I am letting you know that these are the top two questions that get asked, because there is an inherent problem with both of those questions, and it is both the same problem. What's wrong with asking me, what do I do to stay healthy? It's me, right. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. My daughter, years and years and years ago, was struggling with focus in high school, and I just made it my life's mission, frankly, to try to figure out what were the outside influences that were contributing to her lack of focus, contributing to the struggles that she was having. Just hours and hours, weeks and weeks, months and months of studying food, studying the environment, to the point, because this is kind of how I am, I love body hacking and thinking of those kinds of things. I eliminated, much to my children's chagrin, all of the processed food that was in our diets. We moved to a house that had a lot of land. We got a dairy cow, which we milk by hand. We got goats, we got chickens. I have none of this in my history. Do I look like I like to get my hands dirty? No. The reason why I did it is because I understood through studying how critical it is what you put in your body, and how all of this information is very important. I want to say maybe 4 years ago, I went through a period of about 6 months where every single thing I put into my mouth, 15 seconds or 15 minutes later, I was pricking my finger to understand what kind of effect that food had on my blood sugar levels. Why was I feeling a certain way when I was eating certain foods? I just wanted to understand every little thing that went into my body, right? And I wanted to understand what it is that I could do that could make me healthy and could keep me healthy as long as possible. So, if somebody asks me what it is that I do to stay healthy, and I give them exactly what I do, and I tell them exactly what I eat. So first of all, let me ask you this. If I represent millions of points of data for other clients, do you think that qualifies me more than the average investor? If you ask me what is working in marketing, do you think that qualifies me to answer that question more than the average investor? Do you think after all of the months and months of study that I did for my daughter and for myself about healthy eating and what that looks like, do you think that qualifies me more than the average person to speak into your life about healthy eating? Yes, but what's the problem with asking me this question? If I tell you exactly what I do, which is what most of you want an exact answer. What lead is working now? How many times have you personally asked that question? What's the hot lead? What's the hottest lead right now? Right? What are you eating? If I hand someone my exact diet and they follow it to a T, are they going to have the same result that I have? No. If somebody likes the outfit that I have on and they like the style or the way that I dress, they like the cut of my clothes, do you think B. Smith sitting in the front row can say, hey, I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to try that outfit on. Do you think he's going to look exactly the same way in that outfit? Absolutely not. He could mimic that outfit to a T, and it's going to be different. Why? Because he's different. So what I'm going to teach you how to do tonight through data and analytics is how to ask better questions, because we're asking the wrong questions. Right? Because I can give you all the answers that you want, and what if that's not the right answer for you? And the likelihood is it's not the right answer for you. There is an answer for you, and it's found in you understanding your own data and analytics. So let's look at a marketing campaign tracker. This is one of our trackers where we're tracking a bunch of direct mail. How does this make you feel? Does it make you want to vomit in your mouth a little bit? Right? Let me tell you something. I am a data and analytics fanatic. Do you get that idea just yet? So, if I'm telling you how important data and analytics are, what's the story that you're telling yourself right now about why I can be really good at studying and why I can be really good at data and analytics? What's the story that you're telling yourself? That's your thing, right? That's her thing. That's never going to be my thing. That's her thing. Anybody ever heard of culture index? Predictive index, disc testing, anybody ever heard of that? This is mine. Okay, I don't want to get this right, I don't want to get this wrong. So I'm going to tell you what these mean. This top line, now first let me tell you, and I hope I don't get this wrong, but this is normal. This red line here in the middle, that's normal. That's considered normal. And most people, almost everyone that takes this test in here is going to fall within 1 to 1.5 deviations from this line. Most people. Which means that if you extend beyond 1.5 deviations from that normal, you are really outrageously abnormal, really, at the end of the day. You're in, some kind of teeny tiny small percentage. So, let me tell you, that first line, bear with me, This first line says whether I am independent or collaborative. This is that dominant thing. You guys have taken how many different tests? That's that one, it's always the B word one. Like, it's always the mean one. It's always the tiger or the shark. It's always like some nasty animal, right? So this is the one that tells you, like, really how, in my opinion, that tells you like how aggressive you are. The second one is always the same. What does that tell you? Introversion, extroversion, right? Social, reserved. What do you think this means? This is my culture index, guys. This is my personality, and it's always the same. Any test that I take, I always get about the same result, okay? This is like patience and detail. That's me. All the way over on that left-hand side. No joke, people call me the data queen. Okay, so these, if you look at any of my profiles, these are the kinds of words that are used to describe me. I'm a generalist. I don't like deliberation. I'm disruptive. I'm unsuited for dealing with technical issues. I favor emotions over logic. Doesn't sound like data, does it? I resist authority. I resist proven methods. I have a distinctly, this one cracks me up, I have a distinctly low level of interest in details. I'm impatient with repetitive routines, structures, or details, and then there's something on there about needing to be reminding of rules if anybody expects me to follow them. Do you get that impression? Does this look like a data-driven person to you? Do you think that this is the personality of a data-driven person or the exact opposite of a data-driven person? Yeah, exact opposite. So what's my point? My point is, if I can prove to you that it is absolutely critical for your success, if you want to be wildly successful, if I can prove to you that you have to know your numbers, I have an entire business that's made up of data and analytics. And I know better than to put myself in a position where I'm gathering that information. It's not about whether or not you're smart enough. I graduated valedictorian of my class. I broke almost every academic record in my class, but I could write the program if I had to learn it. If you made me learn how to write the technical programs that would get that marketing tracker that you just saw on there, I could probably do it if I absolutely had to, and then I would want to slit my wrists. Right? So what you have to do when you know that something is important is you have to automate it and you have to outsource it. Will you agree to do that with me tonight if I can prove to you how critical it is that you study your data? All right? I'm going to give you one more reason to do this. This just came out of Bloomberg. This article just came out of Bloomberg. It talks about the next housing bubble and how it can come from technology. Anybody ever heard of this? Anybody having conversations in your mastermind groups about this? Anybody scared about it? It's hard to see the highlight, but I'm going to read you the highlighted parts. A decade after the housing crash, it's now possible to buy or sell a house with the click of a mouse. If the practice catches on, it could lead to a far more efficient and affordable housing market or another devastating bubble. So-called iBuying involves firms using algorithms. What is that another word for? Data, thank you, to provide sellers with fixed price offers on their homes. This is where data comes in. They read disclosures, do market comparisons, evaluate timing, assess nearby rentals, consider a host of other factors to arrive at an estimate of the house's value. I'm not going to stay long on this because I can get into the weeds on this, and it makes me so angry when people are like, oh, they're never going to survive, they're losing money. They know they're losing money, guys. These are really, 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 really smart people. What do you think they're doing right now when they're buying? What do you think they're doing? Do you think it's about the house? It's about the data. It's about the numbers. They're studying it. And they're studying every single piece of that transaction until they become machines at buying this stuff. And they don't care if they lose 30% of the time as long as they win 70% of the time. The only way that you are going to fight these people is to understand your own data and your own numbers and inject humanity, because the humanity is what they want to eliminate, because humanity is expensive. So how do you inject humanity into your business to compete with them, but also use data and analytics? It's the equivalent of an online or a brick and mortar store having an online presence but maintaining a brick and mortar store as well. Or if you're a brick and mortar store, you can say, oh, I'm not going to bother with online at all. And the likelihood that you're going to survive that is slim to none. Does that make sense? So let's go back to the marketing campaign tracker. I want to show you the power. I'm going to break this down. Do not let this scare you. This is a tracker that we build and that we use to track our clients' data. But please don't let this scare you, because I'm going to break this down. And even if you don't do something like this, I literally teach people that you can track incredibly important KPIs using a pencil and a piece of paper if you have to. But you have to start somewhere. And I'm here to tell you that if you don't start somewhere, I think it's highly unlikely that you're going to survive whatever happens as data and analytics start to take over everything. All right? So this is the campaign tracker, and I'm going to break certain pieces of this tracker. Everything that you're about to see, every broken down slide, is coming from this master tracker, okay? So this master tracker represents something that we would do for our clients. In our direct mail marketing models, what we do is we mail a database of leads, a large database of leads, and as people respond to those leads, we're studying the crap out of those people. We're looking for common characteristics of the people, we're looking for common characteristics of the home, and we're looking for common characteristics of their situation. What we're trying to do using data and analytics is ultimately determine what's the 20 to 30% of your list where 70 to 80% of your yield is coming from, so that you can chase the 20 to 30%. Does that make sense? That's how you create a motivated seller avatar for your area. And by the way, it's different for every area, because a 200,000 population county in Alabama ain't gonna react the same way that a 500 or a million person county in California reacts. Does that make sense? And that's why you have to ask better questions. That's why you can't say to just anybody, what lead is working for you right now? It's a good question, but it's not a great question, okay? So, the first thing that data will tell us, this is a part of the campaign tracker where we're tracking letters versus postcards. What's the effectiveness of a letter versus a postcard? That PR means premium, that ST means standard. So you can see we mailed about the same amount of leads. What would you say if I told you that a letter costs about 3.5 to 4 times more than a postcard does? What would you say would have to happen in order for it to be worth your while to mail a letter versus a postcard? What would you say? What would have to happen in order for you to say, yes, I will spend 4 times more to mail that letter than to mail the postcard? Right. So you have to have a 4 times higher response rate with a letter than a postcard in order for it to make sense for you to use that, for you to mail the letter, right? So if you look at this marketing campaign, you see that the postcard got a 0.86% response rate. You see that the letter got a 1.37% response rate, not even double. What would you say about this if you saw it and you knew how much more money you spent on the letter than on the postcard? What do these numbers tell you? What decision would you make about mailing a postcard versus a letter? You ready for this? This is why you have to ask better questions. Let's swing this number out to the right. This is what you must be doing when you're tracking your leads. See that APPTS? That's appointments. That's the number of appointments that are booked on the same amount of leads for the letters versus the postcard. Top line is the letter, bottom line is the postcard. 22 appointments were booked on the letter versus 7 on the lead. Now let's swing out even further. Deals closed. How many deals closed on the letters? How many deals closed on the postcards? There's even more to this story. I couldn't swing this far out. If you swing this far out, because when we're tracking data, we're actually tracking the profitability as well. What kind of profit margin do you think you got on the letter versus the postcard, more or less? In this particular campaign, this person made $2,800 more on the deals where he sent a letter versus on the deals that he sent a postcard. Industry, like across all of our clients' data, that's very, very common. It's about 30, generally speaking, deals made from letters make about $3,200 more than deals made from postcards. Why do you think that is? more personable, more people opening. Here's what data tells you, okay? You can't say, I have to get a 4 times higher response rate on a letter than a postcard, because the person that opened your letter was never going to respond to the postcard, whether it was the first postcard that you sent or the 100th postcard that you sent. They responded to a letter. That is why you must retarget your leads. That is the proof of why you have to retarget your leads. And there's a section of people in here, there's missed opportunity in here, because there's some of those people that are never going to respond to a postcard, they're never going to respond to a letter, they're going to respond to a what? A phone call, a door knock, whatever it is. In this culture, you have to figure out what it is that you have to do to get people's attention, and it is not always going to be the same thing, and you can't fall into the trap of that lie. Okay? So when you're looking at data, this is why it's important to track it. Because if you're only tracking response rate, you're going to quit and look at all of the opportunity that you're going to miss. Does this make sense to you guys? You've got to track that all the way through that pipeline, okay? So let's go back to this global track. This is a real campaign, guys. This is not a fake campaign. This is a real campaign. Look at this bottom line. This was a campaign that we sent out over the course of 1 month. Look at this, almost 25,000 leads. Remember I said we normally send out 25,000 leads in a month. So we sent out 25,000 leads. We had a 0.89% response rate. We had a 0.64 net lead rate. By the way, that is absolutely critical, guys. I couldn't care less about, I care a little bit about the response rate, but what I really care about is a net lead rate. That is what actually tells you how valuable the leads in your campaign are, okay? You should be getting at minimum a 50% net lead rate from all of the calls that are coming in. Minus your opt-outs. Opt-outs are the people that say, don't ever call me again, take me off your list. Okay, so if you're anywhere below that, that is what your net lead rate is, what tells you how valuable the list is that you're mailing, not your response rate. Couldn't care less about your response rate. I have clients who come to me and say, I want you to use this letter. I got a 7% response rate on it. I said, what's your conversion on that? Guess what it was? 0. That's the worst case scenario, because now you just used up all of your bandwidth and all of your energy and all of your time taking all of those phone calls with absolutely no conversion. Okay, so let's look at this campaign. 25,000 leads sent out, deals closed, 6. Does that look pretty good? 4,000 mailers sent per deal. Do you guys know? That's good. That's really, really, really good. That's a good campaign. It's a good, solid campaign. I know people who are doing better than that, but by and large, that's a solid performing campaign right now. If you can send out 4,000 mailers and get 6 deals out of those 4,000 mailers, that is considered a solid campaign. So what would the typical investor look at this and say of their marketing? Rockstar, let's keep doing it. Let's do this over and over and over and over again. I'm going to show you why it is absolutely critical that you identify the 20 to 30% of that list versus the 70 to 80%. So let's break this down a little bit further. Let's look up here at your stressed leads. The stressed leads, by the way, is our proprietary blend. It's a financial distressed lead. Okay, that's all that means. When it says stressed, that's what we're tracking. Our leads are very specialty situationally driven, and it's really important that you track each of your lead types separately so that you know what's a high value lead. Here's another reason why you need to track this separately. So let's look at these stressed leads. We booked these leads here's our appointment rate on these leads. We mailed about 5,000 leads with the letters, 5,000 leads with the postcards. We're booking at about a 38% rate on the letters and a 20% rate on the postcards. Everything looks good, not bad. Now, let's single out this absentee lead. Everybody knows what an absentee lead is, right? Somebody who owns a house that doesn't live in that house. And what's the problem with this? If we look at the total number of mail pieces that were sent, it's still about 5,000. Okay, but now instead of booking 22 appointments or booking 7 appointments, this lead type is only booking 4 appointments. And it is absolutely critical that you know, first of all, that that's what's happening, and that you find out why. In this particular person's business, the answer to that question was the fact that there was one acquisitions person handling this entire campaign, and that person was a warm, older gentleman, killer closer. He's doing a great job. He's doing a great job on this, and if somebody was evaluating his performance based on this, they'd say, you're doing a rock star job, awesome, thank you, may I have another, okay? But what we were able to identify in the data is the fact that he was a warm softie, he converted probate like crazy, he converted stressed leads like crazy because he was this warm, fuzzy guy, and he was getting run the heck over by the hard landlord type people who were just being aggressive with him, and he was just laying down and taking it. And that could get hidden unless you're looking at all of these lead types. It just so happened that in this particular client's business, they were looking to hire another acquisitions person. So what kind of acquisitions person did we tell him to hire? A killer. Don't you dare hire another warm softie. You got somebody converting your warm softie leads, you're all good. You need to hire a killer, right? So those kinds of decisions alone can change your business. Obviously, if you're the person converting, then you need to say, how do I convert that lead better, right? Let's dig a little bit deeper. So here, let's look at this probate lead. The probate, and by the way, just to answer a question that all of you have, probate historically is always historically going to be your most lucrative lead. It is not going to be your highest response rate, but is historically it just tracks to be the most lucrative lead out there, is probate, okay? So this, sending out 1,200 mailers, we got a deal closed. Appointment booking rate on that is 37%. That looks good. Now, let's go to the equity lead. We mailed out 5 times more of that equity lead. Now look here, this is what's really important. So look at the response rate on that probate. It's 2.33%. The net lead rate is 2. Response rate on the equity lead is 0.61. By the way, that's not bad. Everybody, you hear all these things on Facebook, you see people posting 3%, 4%, 5%, 6% response rates. I am here to tell you that if you take enough points of data and you compress millions of points of data down, there's only so many standard deviations that you can go outside of that norm before something is wrong, before it's statistically impossible for people to have the kind of results that you guys are chasing after sustained over time. So be really, really careful about what you hear on social media and what people are saying, because they're talking about rock star moments, and sometimes you guys are getting down about your campaigns. It's on average just under 0.5% is what the average response rate is on a direct mail campaign. Okay, so if we're looking at that equity lead, it's not a bad response rate, but what's the problem with that equity lead? Look at that net lead rate, 0.19%. And look at the appointment booking rate. So what we're starting to do as we look at these leads is we're saying, what are the low value leads? For whatever the reason, that equity lead in this particular case is a very, very low value lead for this client. Okay, I just had a consulting client where we did this. We actually made a goal for that client for him to get from $4,200 to $3,500 per deal, cost per deal. That's a great, $4,200 is a great number, by the way, guys. So we had made a goal for him to get to $3,500, and we'd given ourselves a 6-month goal to get the cost per lead down to $3,500. Now, given the fact that this is somebody that does a couple hundred deals a year, that can make a couple $100,000 difference in his business, that little shift. When we broke his campaign down like this, what we were able to determine, his direct mail campaign was rocking it, but when you break it down like this, we were able to determine that 1/3 of his leads were coming from redirecting returned mail, and for whatever the reason, they were never turning that over. So 1/3 of their marketing, like 30,000 pieces a month, were going out as returned mail, and they had almost no conversion on it. But it would have been hidden if they hadn't broken it down, because their net was great. So when we eliminated those 30,000 leads out of their monthly mailing, they immediately hit the goal that we set for them, just by making that one little tweak. Couple $100,000 worth a year profit difference, Okay, this is why it is absolutely critical that you study these numbers. So here's another couple of campaigns that we're going to watch, right? Because look at the response rate. Response rate's really low. Net lead rate is really low. Why are we going to watch this instead of making a big decision about this? Look right here. This is a small data set, right? So you need to make sure that you're studying it enough, but you need to be aware of it, and now you keep an eye on it. Now you know you keep an eye, and it could be something as simple as your lead source. You might be able to determine, hey, because we use 6 different data providers, and we use different data providers for different things depending on how good they are at what they do, okay? So really quick, I'm going to tell you a couple more things based on data. How am I doing on time, Mr. Hambright? 10 minutes, perfect. I just showed you where you miss opportunity using data on your leads. In the middle, I want to show you really quick some additional areas of missed opportunity in your marketing on the front end and on the back end, okay? On the front end, 35% of calls are missed or abandoned. How many people in here have a CRM that manages their data? Raise your hand. How many people use any kind of system like CallRail to record the calls that are coming into your business and capture those leads? Okay, so here's what I'm here to tell you. You guys are spending a crap ton of money trying to generate leads and driving leads into your business, and 30 to 35% by and large of those calls you're either missing because you're not able to pick them up, or you're not picking them up, or your call service isn't picking them up, or they're hanging up before they ever get to you. For any number of reasons. It could be that you're taking too long to answer. It could be that they wanted to call you and then their daughter said something and they hung up, whatever it is. But I'm telling you that is an enormous amount of missed opportunity right there. Imagine increasing your leads by 30% just by having some kind of system in place that identifies the people who you've missed and you immediately call them right back, okay? And also because people are dumb. I'm telling you, we've listed thousands and thousands and thousands of calls. I've heard everything from acquisitions people answering the phone to hello, to my own Rockstar acquisitions person. He's a great acquisitions person, saying on the phone, hey, a person called him, they said, hey, I got your postcard in the mail. And he said, oh yeah, are you looking to sell your house? Seller says, well, I'm thinking about it. My Rockstar acquisitions person says to this person, okay, well, whenever you decide that you want to sell it, give me a call back. I kid you not, right? So there's tons and tons and tons of missed opportunity in your front end. You've absolutely got to get some kind of system in place, okay, that allows you to keep track of the leads that are coming into your business. And Propelio is about to come out with a CRM that is going to help you guys do that. There are any number of CRMs out there, and you can do this really inexpensively. There's a lot of CRMs that don't even have a monthly fee. But guys, this is something that you have to do. If you're serious about this business, you have to have some kind of system that organizes those leads for you, because you're never going to stay organized yourself. We're entrepreneurs, we're killers. We're not detail people. Okay, so you've got to have some kind of system in place. You want to put a system in place then that automatically creates a lead in the CRM once a call comes in. So once you have a CRM, you could actually have a call system that not only records the call, but the second a phone rings, it automatically creates a lead in your CRM, so you know if that person hangs up, oh, there's a lead, I need to call them back. There's a missed opportunity. You paid for that lead to call them back. All right, so you want to call the abandoned or missed calls back immediately, and you also need to make sure if you're using a call, like if you have an acquisitions person, or if you're using any kind of call porter or Pat Live, that you're auditing those calls, because there's a lot of opportunity there as well. Real quick, I just want to give you a quick example. This was a client of ours. He had 145 leads we identified in his CRM that we didn't know what had happened. It was either an abandoned call or we just didn't know what happened. We told him to go back and do that with his lead manager. He sent us this email. We spent the last 24 hours going through all the 145 lists in Podio. We already have at least 2 deals that have come from doing this. Worthwhile? Yes. What's your profit per deal? Approximately. Approximately. Any deal. $50,000? What if it's only $10,000? And after 24 hours of calling leads, you got 2 extra deals. Is that worth your time? I think so. Back end, the fortune is in the follow-up. I got, good grief. We've created a whole new business around this idea because there is such a lack of follow-up in our industry. It's not what we're designed to do. It's not who we're created to be. So if at least 30% of your deals aren't coming 30 days after the first point of contact from the seller, you're missing massive opportunity. In all reality, it's more like 70 to 80% of deals come in follow-up sequences versus as low-hanging fruit on the front end, okay? So this is an industry-wide standard. Calling 3 times is 68 more effective than calling once. Calling 6 times is 94% more effective than calling once. After 6 touches, the law of diminishing returns kicks in. Industry-wide, the graphic to the left demonstrates what actually happens in small business. So this is what we know definitively by the data happens to your sales and contacts 30 days out. This is your low-hanging fruit. This is your immediate point of contact and when somebody says yes or no. This is what happens in the industry. This is the odds that the actual calls that we can prove to you are worthwhile. That's what happens when they're being made. We actually did a 3-year study of data of real estate investors. This is industry. This could be any industry. This is small business. Oh, what did I do? Oh. We did a 3-year study of data, hundreds of thousands of points of data. That's real estate. Same arc. This is what we do. Less than 20% of people have any kind of follow-up system in place. This is us compared to the industry. This is what we do. We know that there's massive opportunity in follow-up, and we don't do it. We keep going for the low-hanging fruit. You got to stop doing it. So, back-end solutions, hire a lead manager or make sure that you are following up on those leads. Task them or yourself with nurturing and auditing the leads all the way through the sales process. It's really important that you execute individual customized follow-up for every lead until it hits the point of diminishing returns, at which point I'm good with you putting it up into a fully automated sequence. But again, guys, we talk about humanity all the time. Here's where humanity comes into play. You have to be looking at the lead. You have to nurture every single lead. That's the lifeblood of your business. Those are your babies. And somebody needs to be tasked with taking care of those babies. And if you have a fully automated sequence taking care of 100 crying babies, that automated sequence is going to change all of their diapers. Right? And what happens is that 1/3 of them need their diaper changed, and half of them need to be burped, and 4 of them need to be fed, and some of them need to be swaddled. And if you're fully automating this stuff at a time when you know there's a lot of value to converting it, you're wasting opportunity, okay? So the tasks of a lead manager could be calling back abandoned calls, making sure you're listening to the calls, documenting the important notes, following up. And this is huge, guys. You guys, a lot of you are sitting on a gold mine of old, dead leads. Have somebody go back and kill those leads. Have somebody call all those leads back. We just had somebody post in the Collective Genius about this that had a virtual lead manager. Within 3 weeks of implementing that lead manager, they closed a $12,000 assignment profit deal and put a package of 20 single-family residents under contract. Just from going back and calling the old leads that you're not doing anything with anymore. All right? I promise I will wrap this up. Da-da-da-da. Already told you. Okay, so really quick, the only points I want to make here is what? Action steps. By the way, guys, speed of implementation. Another way to talk about speed of implementation is to talk about the cost of deliberation. That's another way to say speed of implementation. You've got to implement things quickly. I want to give you super fast steps. You need to get a CRM. You need to contact your missed calls. In the middle of your process, you need to make sure that you're identifying your mediocre campaigns and sales, and you need to make sure, guys, that you have multiple exit strategies. We got some giants in this room. I don't know if Mr. Eddie Speed is still in this room, but he presented last time. I'm sending massive amounts of my clients to his training. He's teaching people how to monetize low equity leads. Guys, this is really important. You have to figure out a way to monetize every single lead that's coming into your business. As this market starts to tighten, you can't afford to just go for a low-hanging fruit, and on the back end, you gotta follow up, all right? So, just understand that life isn't an NBA final. You can't build and sustain a healthy business based solely on your rock star moments or other people's rock star moments either, guys. Stop listening to these people talk about their rock star moments and stop thinking about your own rock star moments and believing that you can actually sustain that over time. It doesn't work. And if you look at your data and you look at your numbers, you're gonna see that. Most people don't wake up beautiful. It's a process. They have to go through a process. You've got to go through this process, guys, and you have to start somewhere. There's no shortcuts. You don't have to have a crazy, amazing tracker like I do, but you could get a CRM that tracks some of this stuff for you. You could track some of these KPIs by hand if you have to, but you have to start somewhere. Okay? So, last, if you're going to get better, it's going to be on purpose. Stop giving up before you understand why something failed, and stop duplicating success without understanding why it was successful. Take your shot, make it true, make it count. All right?
Awesome, guys. Give it up for Christina.
I didn't even drink any of my drink.
I thought you were going to be drinking that vodka throughout the whole presentation.
I thought I was too.
Okay, guys. Is that good stuff? Is that good stuff?
Propelio TV is sponsored by Noble Mortgage and Investments, Batch Skip Tracing, Think Multifamily, CreativeCashflow.com, and Lifeiner.
Want to keep up with the latest Propelio TV daily? Be sure to subscribe and click that bell.